the small intestine, what its job is it receives and transforms energy, and it separates the fluids in the body. It belongs to the fire element. The heart is the ruler of all the yin and yang organs. It's the governor or the president of the show, let's put it that way. So it rules all of the organs. It governs the blood, but here's what's important about its relationship to the brain. The heart is what houses the mind. Interesting, isn't it? So everything about the blood nourishes the mind. So if the blood is toxic in any way, then it's definitely going to affect how we think about things. Okay, the next one is Gehl, or triple warmer it's called, and it provides the motive force for the kidneys. It activates all of the physiological functions by providing heat for digestion. So even though Gehl, triple warmer, is not an actual physical organ, it has a job, and it governs the lower burner, middle burner, and upper burner, and the organs that go along with each of those areas in the body. So you can see how regulating temperature is important, right, in terms of the metabolic processes and keeping everything in balance. Gehl is also responsible for defensive qi, so it has a lot to do with our immunity. And it sends energy up to the upper burner in the form of what is called nutritive qi. Or, excuse me. Defensive qi goes to the upper body, to the middle and the upper burner. In the middle burner, it's nutritive qi because it goes and soothes and nourishes all of the internal organs. And then in the lower burner, it's body fluids. So then we have stomach and spleen. Now, here is where digestion, this is the earth element. This is what earth does in the body. So the stomach rottens and ripens the food that we consume, and then it sends energy to the spleen. The spleen then is the origin of blood. So here we have heart that governs blood. We have the spleen that is the origin of blood. And the spleen's job is then to send energy up to the lungs. So if spleen qi is deficient in any way, then the lungs are going to have issues like allergies or colds or anything that you can name that would be a lung issue. But the lung and kidneys also have a relationship. And as I said before, the kidneys have both yin and yang energies present. So kidney water, kidney fire creates that steam engine that allows or generates the movement in the body for all of the metabolic processes. So if kidney qi is weak, then the earth is going, then the stomach and spleen, digestive symptoms or digestive function is also going to be weak. So you can see it's like a domino effect. Kidney qi is weak, spleen qi, digestive function is weak, the lungs become weak, and the relationship that the lung and kidneys have is that lungs regulate water in the upper half of the body, kidneys in the lower half of the body. So they have, even though kidneys are a water element and lung is an air element, there is a relationship. So it's not just fire, earth, air, water, or excuse me, wood, fire, earth, metal, and water, thank you. It's not just the generating phase where these organs work in pairs. They have pairing jobs outside of their elemental relationship. Does that make sense? So lung and kidney, and as I just mentioned, the Gehl, triple warmer, is the motive force for the kidney. So all of this is to say that our body is an ecosystem. It's a very intricate, delicate balance that, you know, when we can understand it from this broader perspective, or even just yang and yin, understanding, if you take nothing else away tonight, if you can understand, you know, the function of fire and water and how that affects the organs. Yes, please.
Did they believe that the sign, that your sign or whatever, also, like if I'm an earth sign, is it more, if I'm a female earth sign, is it more common that I would potentially have issues with my spleen? Was there any relationship between that?
Okay, very, very good question. Thank you. In Chinese medicine, their astrology system is a little bit different. What I have done is look at the connections that I have found between Western astrology and Chinese medicine. We have 12 signs in the zodiac with the sun sign in the center, meaning the person. And I can't get into all of that, but what I will say is that 12 meridians, each assigned 2 hours in the circadian clock. There are approximately 360 points in the body. So you look at the circle and you have, circle is 360 degrees. You've got 12, you know, signs going in the zodiac circle. And this is what I talk about in the book. So from the strictly Chinese medicine viewpoint, they don't look at it that way. Now, maybe the 5 phase or 5 elements, the way that I use that signature in my own work is different. But I do look at the elements present, and then I look at more the mathematical, musical, or harmonic relationship in the signature, the snapshot of the sky at the time someone is born. Thank you for asking that question. I think it has more to your point is the humoral medicine. You know, how each one of those, hot, cold, dry, moist, how they are in relationship in your body. That's what they would look at. Okay, so we're going to go back to this one, essence, chi, and mind. All right, I already talked about kidney, yin, and yang. It's the only organ that has both the yin and yang complementary forces at work. And like I said, that is important because it's the steam engine that keeps the metabolic processes moving. And
That's why we need to drink water?
And absolutely, water is crucial to all of the metabolic processes. Now, I made this middle column showing the extraordinary vessels. I added chakras and the 12 ordinary. This is not from the textbook. This is just how I perceive energy working. It has to move from the base of the spine, so the steam engine that the kidneys house, and it's called gate of vitality, or Mingmen. Actually, it's right about here. It's got to produce marrow, which nourishes the brain. So kidneys are responsible for producing marrow. And how the bone marrow moves in the spinal column is what nourishes the mind and the brain. So we have 3 ways actually, through the chakra system. Well, I'm not even going to call it 3. So up the spinal cord, through the chakra system, the energy moves from the base of the spine up to the head and the brain. And then energy will also move through the ordinary channels, the 12 meridians. And I alluded to earlier the 8 extraordinary vessels. What is very key to me in my work about the 8 extraordinary vessels is that they regulate the flow of energy among the internal organs as well as the 12 ordinary channels. So ordinary means day-to-day, or a regular day, no traffic jams. You can just take your usual route, the energy, you're going to get there. You're going to arrive at your destination, no blocks, no hassles. But in extraordinary situations, you may have a roadblock here, a detour there, you know. So the extraordinary vessels do a multitude of things at the same time, and they are constantly nourishing kidney essence. So one of the things that, again, that I love about Chinese medicine is that it never divorced its medical paradigm from what is spiritual. And so if we are connected, as I believe we are, to the infinite cosmos and the infinite mind and infinite wisdom that creates worlds, then is there any ceiling or end to our potential for healing? I don't think there is. And so when you tap into that, and I believe that, you know, the 8 extra vessels have that mystical component that taps us into the infinite. And so whatever you are doing for your body, nutritionally or structurally, whatever you're doing for therapy, just know that this is something that could complement and even accelerate the healing of the organs. All right, let's get back to the brain, because that was the topic. Any questions, at least on this slide? Can you understand how kidney essence is important in its production of marrow to the nourishment and the function of the brain? Any questions or comments?
Can you comment on why the bladder has more acupuncture points than any other organ in relevance to some of these?
Okay, excellent. So kidney and bladder belong to the water element. I don't actually know why the bladder is the longest meridian, but it does travel up and down the spine, and so and wraps around a couple of times. So you can find and treat every organ in the body and virtually every meridian by treating the bladder meridian, that is. So what the bladder has a relationship not only to the kidneys. Kidney sends waste to the bladder, bladder turns it into urine, we get rid of it. But the pure energy that the bladder keeps is sent back up to the lungs to mist the body. So our relationship with water, again, to your point, Ella, receiving the right mineral content, water, minerals, I mean, that is crucial to...
It also has to do with the thought process as well with regards to bladder, right?
Yes. Well,
In other words, people get pissed off.
oh, good point. Yes, that's true.
And it affects their whole body.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, excellent, excellent point. Okay, I want to move on to this one and talk just a little bit about the origin of blood and qi. I did talk about the spleen and how it takes what we consume from the stomach and is the origin of blood. It then sends energy up to the lungs. And and then the lungs energize the heart, and the heart is where blood is governed, right? That's pretty obvious. What else did we learn about the heart in terms of, does anyone remember what else I said about the heart? Excellent, thank you. It houses the mind. So we've got spleen that originates blood, we've got the heart that governs blood, we've got the kidneys that filter blood, and then we have the liver, which is responsible for storing blood. So you can see how virtually every organ has a very important job to do, but these especially, liver, spleen, kidney, pertain to the health of the blood and how blood operates in the body. So qi is the commander of blood, and blood is the mother of qi. Again, where do you, you can begin anywhere on that continuum. it's constant. So again, what are you going to put under a microscope? What are you going to measure? I mean, it's just in constant flow. This, this is the main point that I would like, or the main picture that I'd like you to leave with tonight. All right. I wanted to talk about some points of interest, and actually have you see if you could find them on yourself. So since the liver, spleen, and kidney are so important to blood, it's a point that is often sore. And where you're going to find that is on the inside. If you put your pinky on the inside ankle and use all 4 fingers and go up your calf, you'll find probably a very tender spot. This is where liver, spleen, and kidney meridians all intersect. Doesn't matter which leg. The points are bilateral. They affect both. Yeah, so it doesn't. Now, some of you may experience one side that's more tender than another, but can everyone find it? I can help you find it if. So you might need to take your shoes or boots off, but. And then, okay, while you're there at the ankle, the source point for kidney is on the inside. So if you put your thumb on the knob of your inner ankle and then move the thumb in, that's the source point for kidney. You may find a sore spot there or a tender spot. And then the other simple point, easy to find point, is the source point for liver. And it's in the web of the big toe, between the big toe and the second toe. And if you just slide your finger along and between those toes and come up to just where your arch is, that point may be sore, liver 3. Anyway, this really doesn't have anything to do with the brain. I just wanted to have you guys participating and finding points on your body. Except for kidney 3. That,
So if they're sore,
well, if they're
there's potentially a weakness in that area or something that you
either in that meridian or, yeah. And again, it's going to, no one organ, no one point, no one meridian is a solo entity. It's all, like I said, it's all a circuit, it's all flowing. And so it's important to look at the patterns. And each one of us who works with clients has a different way of looking at patterns. I'm not as, well, I'm more about energy and energetic patterns, but also, using sound to balance that out. But do you understand where I'm going with this? That you can choose your therapist, choose your therapy, and it's what resonates with you. It's what works for you. Okay, I think, oops, I did it again. So closing thoughts, we don't really need this, except I did want you to see, I'll just put it up this way. If anyone is interested, there's my contact information. All right, so just to revisit some of the questions. What can we learn about our state of health from the perspective of Chinese medicine? Is there anything that you found new and interesting from tonight's presentation? Did you learn anything from anything that I said? Just kidding. So what's one thing that we could learn in Western culture from Chinese medicine?
The biggest thing is the interconnectedness of everything.
Yes.
I think how the elements feed each other, like that.
The generative cycle.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, was there anything surprising from what you learned tonight?
Yeah,
It is a little confusing, but instinctually, I feel like there is a connection. And when like I said, it was the colors, and then adding that fifth color with a wood element. And I feel like it is the creative process which really makes the difference in terms of creating four stagnant, even though nothing is stagnant, four stagnant humors or elements into a generative phase where things are morphing and blending and supporting each other, supporting or not supporting. Anything else or any other questions? Yes.
I thought the thing that really hit me was the act of observing something immediately changes it. And as I work with energy, you know, the fact that as you observe things in a body, you know, you can actually change that energy
Yes,
to a positive or a negative.
exactly.
And so when you're working with something on an energy level especially, you need to constantly focus on the positive aspect of how
Exactly.
you're just being aware of it and making them a person aware of it that you're working with changes that energy in the system.
Right.
You know, and I think a lot of us aren't really aware enough of the capability that we have to
Right.
alter that energy. And the fact that, you know, your statement of just observing it automatically lends the ability to alter it.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. You're absolutely right. And I will just say one thing about symptoms. It's really easy to go into fear when symptoms appear, but they're just messengers talking to you from your internal organs or the meridians that are saying, I'm out of balance. I need some help. You know, I'm inflamed and I need to make a change. And change is absolutely healing. If you stay stuck in any one of those humors or temperaments, that's when illness occurs. So thank you for bringing that up. I think, okay, last question is, what is something you can do to support body and brain health? Ella already talked about one very important thing. Oh, meditate is excellent. Yep. And since heart houses the mind, what can you do to feed the heart? What, you know, yeah, love, doing things you love, right? But you mentioned water, drinking water. Okay, if kidneys produce the essence, you know, produce the marrow that nourishes the brain, and kidneys are a water element, lots and lots of water. Okay, that's it for me. Thank you for listening.